I think a lot of it is the fans. I would say that. I mean, it's just like, I don't know what it is, but it's just the atmosphere. It's hard to really describe. Like, just coming down here and playing in this stadium as an opposing team, it's just a hard place to play in.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, synchronize your watches. Look at your calendars. We are now inside of 1 month until the 2026 annual selection meeting. It's also known as the NFL Draft. And welcome to another edition of the best podcast available, presented by Bullseye Event Group. For award-winning game day experiences, visit bullseyeeventgroup.com. Happy draft month. I guess we're inside of a month. Gibby, to you and yours.
I can't go with that until after April 1. April 1, I'm officially in the month of the draft. So I know we're inside a month, but
yeah,
April is the month of the draft.
There are multiple ways, and I'm with you to look at this. By the way, hi, I'm Andrew Siciliano. That's Jason Gibbs. Thanks for being here. So I woke up on Monday morning of this week, tore up my bracket because my bracket was worthless, and I turned on the social media, and everything said, it's 1 month until the draft. And I'm like, wait a minute. It is, because the draft is on Thursday, April 23rd in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And this was Monday, March 23rd. But the draft is on a Thursday. So when you say it's 1 month into the draft, you could also, on the Thursday, 4 weeks before, say that's 1 month into the draft. Right? That's how I view 1 month until the draft.
Let's get through March.
We're
wrapping down.
Yes.
This is the end of the main free agency push. Obviously, there'll still be plenty of signings throughout the league as we go here, but the bulk of free agency is almost in the rearview mirror. We have the owners' meetings, coach meetings, GM meetings. Anybody who's anybody will be at the fantastic Biltmore Hotel in Arizona early next week, and then we're into April, and then we're draft time, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will continue to bring you the best podcast available all the way up through and after the draft as well. And we're excited to do that. We're excited to also bring you Tylan Wallace, the Browns' new wide receiver, a former Baltimore Raven, a guy who knows Todd Monken from Baltimore. He will join the show coming up in a matter of minutes. And you mentioned the owners' meetings. Technically, Gibby, it's called the annual meeting. We will have content from the annual meeting where
there are some fancy names for things. You started off with the name for the draft.
It's called the annual selection meeting.
That, you know what that is? That's Selection Sunday for me
meeting.
In March.
Yes.
Like, that's not, yeah.
And the owners' meetings, the league does push back. They don't want them known as the owners' meetings. This is the annual meeting. And when there's a meeting, say, in season, owners' meetings in season on the network, you're to refer to that as the fall meeting.
And I can understand the annual meeting because, like I said, Todd Monken will be there. There's a breakfast with coaches. There's, GM talks. Mm-hmm. Andrew Berry will talk to the media informally and formally. So
Todd Monken will be there.
Maybe ownership.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ownership will speak. Scheduled to speak. So all those things. Yep. And we'll have that content for you from Phoenix next week. All right, let's get to the content right now. You said free agency is wrapping up. Browns made 2 special team signings that I think are significant here, one of which, Tylan Wallace, we mentioned, will join us coming up shortly. The other is Daniel Thomas. He's a veteran safety, most recently with the Lions. We spent a lot of time last year lamenting the Browns special teams units. Obviously, week 1, I got a lot of headlines. Andre Schmidt missed the 2 kicks and then turned it around and turned it a fantastic season, culminating with that game-winning field goal week 18. Yes, and we're happy for him in Cincinnati with that win over the Bengals. But coverage was certainly an issue. Returning was certainly an issue. The Tylan Wallace signing and the Daniel Thomas signing, I think, go a long way towards trying to fix those issues. Annually, it seems the Browns bring in a return man. It often doesn't work. Tylan Wallace, I think, the layman may look at it and go, oh, well, he's the returner. He's always the Ravens' fourth or fifth wide receiver. He has a punt return touchdown in his resume here in the NFL. And I say yes, but no. He has had return success, but he has not really been a return man, Gibbe. He has been a guy that has excelled on coverage units. He has over 1,000 career special team snaps. And yes, he does have some explosiveness in the return game, and he could be your fourth and fifth wide receiver, hoping to get a little bit more of a bite of that apple as well.
Yeah, this football team has been snake bitten when it comes to signing free agent return men who have a track record of performing and then freak injuries.
I don't even want to go down the list.
Training camp.
I'm not going to jinx it and go down the list.
No. We don't need to revisit it, but it's been unfortunate for both the player and for the franchise because probably Josh Cribbs is the last person that struck fear into any team when it comes to a return.
He was must-see TV.
Football team. Yeah, and I don't think that we've had that in quite a long time if we're talking about him being the last real relevant returner.
Now, to be fair, he was more than just a relevant returner. Josh Cribbs, and you could go look at the stats, go to Pro Football Reference, is one of the most prolific return men in the history of this game. Period, full stop. So it's a high bar. And before him, you had Eric Metcalf, obviously, back in the good old days. So the Browns have had their legendary return men. That is a very high bar to meet. You just would love to get kind of 1/3 of the way there.
Correct. Yeah, and that's we've seen flashes from guys over the years, and here's hoping that the gentleman that's going to join you in a little bit, Mr. Wallace, is a guy that can maybe provide a little punch for that special teams return group. I think we thought about Josh Cribbs as a returner, but Josh Cribbs could cover kicks and punts.
Absolutely.
And do it exceptionally well. And that's, you mentioned it. It's not just the return game that has struggled for this franchise. It's been the coverage unit. We don't have to revisit the Jets game from last year.
Gosh, we did that last week with Quincy Williams.
That's right. I think it's one of those situations where the special teams unit needed an overhaul. And I think that there's a number of reasons why special teams struggled last year. But I think having designated special teams players, guys that excel, that really thrive in special teams play, were not prevalent on this football team a year ago. And I think there's been a concerted effort this offseason to bring in a couple guys to help out in that aspect.
Absolutely. And really special teams, I think, has been the focus of the past week. It's not just Tylan Wallace and Daniel Thomas. I don't remember if we got the Corey Bojorquez signing in when we did last week's episode, but it should be noted that Corey Bojorquez, who many people thought honestly was out the door. Corey is back. It's a 1-year deal. It's great to have him back just on and off the field. Obviously, Nathan sat down with him last week. Loved that interview. He was on CBD. Love the guy. There are a lot of factors. Last year, I think that went in to Corey Bojorquez perhaps not having statistically his best season. Hopefully you can, and we talked about coverage here, clean some of that stuff up, and he can get back to the guy who 2 years previous was one of the best in the NFL, not only at A, booming punts, but B, downing them inside both the 20 and the 10-yard line. So happy for Corey, and they have a baby, another one coming soon, so happy for the entire Bojorquez
I would say any day now.
Any day now.
Yeah.
As we sit here recording this on a Tuesday.
That's right.
A couple of other key special teams signings. Trey Avery and D'Angelo Ross are two corners. They're veteran corners who the Browns picked up in season last year because they needed help on special teams. Guys that at times later in the year were pressed on to the field and they were needed defensively and took some meaningful defensive snaps, but were primarily teams guys. So they both re-signed as well. They provide veteran depth in the cornerback room, and they, assuming they're there come week one, provide core special teams value. So if you look, Tylan Wallace, Daniel Thomas, D'Angelo Ross, Trey Avery, and even to a degree Sam Kamara, although he's a rotational piece, can play both inside and outside on that defensive line, primarily inside. Those guys all, as we get to the second and even maybe now the third wave of free agency, provide core teams value. And we're going to beat the dead horse here. It is an essential part of this game. Games were won and lost, and primarily lost, let's just call it like it is, last year on special teams. You cannot, as much hand-wringing as we have done this offseason over the defensive coordinator position, you cannot overemphasize the role special teams played last year in the win-loss record.
It's 33% of your team.
You're good at math.
Well, public school kid. Once in a while, I get one right.
Right here. Same.
It's 33%, and I don't care. You can come back and go, it's really 20%, and like the other 13% should go to offense and all that. All three phases. Like, there's a reason why Gerard Cherry calls it complementary football. Yeah. All three phases have to perform for you to win on a Sunday in the National Football League.
And Gerard, and that's why I love having him on the sideline, obviously, for a number of reasons. But last year, we could go down. I mean, look, every year, every game, go down to Gerard and his special teams analysis, because it's how he made his bones in his career, especially later in his career, is invaluable. What makes a good special teams player? Yeah, it's alignment, assignment, and effort, all of that. But a lot of it is just effort. As Gerard said repeatedly last year. You know what? I'm going to ask Tylan Wallace, what makes a good special teams player? Coming up shortly. Mahmoud Diabate was also a good special teams player. Let's get to him, because that one was a bit surprising. The Browns chose not to tender him, meaning you can walk away without any free agent compensation. Now, to be fair, the Browns would have not necessarily gotten some massive free agent compensation if Mood left, and he did. He signed on with the Tennessee Titans, but they get nothing because they did not tender him. It also leaves a bit of a hole. We mentioned Quincy Williams. He signed. He takes Devin Bush's spot there. The Browns really are lacking right now, just in core depth in the special teams room. Now, you got a couple of guys who showed some promise in 2024 coming back, hopefully better than ever from injury. And that is Winston Reed, and Buki Watson. We never saw them last year. They were both injured. But logic dictates that you need to add more. Now, we're not through the offseason, friends. There is another wave of free agency. There is an NFL draft, which is significant. With the 33rd overall pick last year, you found a pretty good linebacker. And even though you don't think the Browns may go offense at 6-24, you never know. So the puzzle is still very much being constructed. But if you had to play a game today, which, full stop, you don't, Easton Mascarenas-Arnold, who is a key special teams contributor as a kid out of USC last year, would be on the field in all likelihood with that first-team defense.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it on Monday's Cleveland Browns Daily. We had Jason Tarver, our linebacker coach.
Right out of the gate to start the show, coach. Jason Tarver.
Kicked off the week with a bang.
Nathan's enthusiasm. He couldn't even get the name of the show out. He was like, nope. And here's Jason Tarver.
That's right. That's exactly right. Might have been he also was excited for a vacation, but he was also excited for Jason Tarver. Coach Tarver's got his work cut out for him. This is a position group that I think going into the offseason we thought was in a good spot. And now, you've got some new faces, and you're probably going to need a few more new faces.
You're going to.
Yeah, and I'm surprised they didn't tender Diabate for whatever reason. And that's I'm not the GM, and I don't make those decisions. But I think that was a little surprising given how well he had played, especially on special teams. But maybe you needed a little bit of a facelift in that area, and they wanted to go in a different direction. And I don't know the reason, but we have to replace Mahmoud Diabate now, and that's just another spot on a defense that you thought you weren't going to have to do a lot of work with in the offseason. That all of a sudden you've had to replace some guys here, and now that's taken away from the salary cap situation on the offensive side of the football.
Absolutely. Defensively, MJ Emerson is still out there. I know Nathan's pounded the table for him. I will as well.
Same.
Now, you may get some pushback from Browns fans saying, hey, when last I saw him in 2024, he was not having a good year. No, he wasn't, and he admits that. And it's part of what makes his injury last year so heartbreaking. If you guys want to go back to that day in July, MJ had been on the podium earlier that afternoon, and he really opened up about the mental health struggle of having a difficult season in 2024 and how he worked so hard in the offseason to put that behind him and be a better him both on and off the field. And there was a twinkle in his eye, and then there was like a positive outlook and just extreme optimism for the year to come. And then later that day, he went out and he tore his Achilles. He was back in the building pretty quickly, rehabbing, fighting. He was around last year, and all of us, fingers crossed, we're hoping he'd be back. Not saying it's not going to happen. It could still happen until he signs somewhere else. I have reason to be optimistic that it could happen because I think, and listen, coming back from an Achilles is never easy. For a corner, it is especially difficult. All the cutting and the backpedaling, it's not easy. It's not. He's got a battle to come back. But I believe in the player, but more importantly, I believe in MJ Emerson. So fingers crossed. If not, you're likely going to add another veteran corner somewhere. And I want fans to remember, and this is always, listen, we're not playing fantasy. We want to stack our roster right now. The first game isn't until September. There will be veterans that come free after June 1. There will be veterans that come free in training camp. There can be other acquisitions, other means to stack your roster just because you're looking at linebacker or corner right now and going, we need help. Okay, fine. Yeah, wide receiver. Yep, I get it. The offseason still has a lot of time.
Yeah, well, you ultimately, I think, want 6 or 7 corners on your roster to get through the year, to get through everything. And I think, Trey Avery and D'Angelo Ross, those are bodies that can add things not just on defense, but on special teams. So you have that, but then you also have the play of Tyson Campbell, who the Browns went out and had to get. And now where does MJ Emerson fit with Tyson Campbell and Denzel Ward?
You need more than two.
Only 2 can play outside. Yeah, but only 2 can play outside.
I understand that. Miles Harden's coming back as well.
Yeah.
I
want MJ back.
MJ's not a good fit to play inside. No, yeah. I get that. He isn't. So your priority may be slot as opposed to outside. You need more than 2 outside corners.
Yeah.
You do. You simply do. The way this game is played, the way the Bengals are going to play this game, the way who knows what the Ravens are going to look like this year, obviously you need more than 2. We'll see what happens. The offseason is still quite young. And the draft is a month away. We'll get into 6 and 24 coming up in a second. But for now, let's introduce you to a new face in that wide receiver room. We're going to keep this thing going here with new Browns on BPA. We've had on Titus Howard. We had on Quincy Williams. Welcoming now to the show. He's a wide receiver. He's a returner. He's a man who does everything. He is the newest Brown, and he is live with us, live on tape. What does it matter? It's a podcast. Tylan Wallace, how the heck are you, man?
Yes, sir. I'm great. Good to be here.
How's it feel going Baltimore to Cleveland? This isn't like going Baltimore to Denver. Right, or Baltimore to Arizona. Yeah. It's Baltimore to Cleveland, man.
Yeah, keep it in the conference. So, no, I feel good about being here, though. I know some people don't feel the same, but I'm happy to be here.
Wait a minute. Who doesn't feel the same?
I mean, a couple of Baltimore fans, but, it's all right. It will be all right.
Have they been blowing up your mentions?
A little bit, maybe just a little bit, but most of them positive. So I'll say that. A lot of them were positive.
Okay, so I'll ask you the same thing I asked Coach Monk, and same thing I asked Travis Schweitzer. What are you doing with all your Ravens gear?
That's a great one. I'm going to keep it for later on down the road. When I'm, done playing everything, I'll still have it, and I'll keep it in storage for now.
Okay, that's a good answer. You're not just dropping it out on the curb and waiting for the Monday pickup. You're not doing that.
No, definitely not. I can't do that.
Let's talk about Coach Monk. How much of an influence was he in your decision?
Yeah. Obviously a big influence being there with Monk. I love being there with him and how he ran the offense and just how he held himself just as a coach and how he treated everybody in the building and not only just the players. So, it was great to be around Monk, and it was a big, part of my decision process to come here.
we've seen him. Obviously, we've talked to him. He's done the podium. He's done the interviews. He's been the man around town. What's he like in a meeting room? Like when he's the OC. Now he's the head coach, obviously, but when he's the OC and he's up there in front of the room, what's he like?
He's great. I mean, he's a personality. I'll give him that. He's definitely a big personality guy. But definitely love Monk, man. Love being around him. Just love the way he holds himself, and it's just something you got to experience to be in a meeting room with that guy.
Does he call you out? Does he call you up? Is he the teacher that like makes you stand up and recite your homework? Like what are we doing?
He's had those moments for sure where he's one of those I guess teachers that make you stand up and say, make you stand on your word, I guess you would say. So he's one of those, but it's good for everybody, I think, when he does that in a good way.
It's kind of like a good-natured, get-in-your-face. He's not a screamer. He's I might make fun of you. Like, am I on the right track here?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely all in a good way, for sure.
You scored a touchdown last year, week 2 against the Browns in September. If I had told you that day that you'd be wearing the other uniform playing against the Ravens next year, what would you have thought?
I wouldn't have thought there was no chance. I would have never thought about that. But it's crazy how everything ends up coming full circle. I'm really happy to be here.
I was going down a rabbit hole last night on the internet. There's some Ravens content where it pointed out how you earlier in the game had gone in motion, dug out Devin Bush, and kind of set that whole thing up. Take me through that.
Yeah, so going into that game plan, that we kind of had that set up where, like you said, bringing that same motion in, going, block the linebacker, and then play later. Monk being Monk, dials it up, calls the same play, but calls a pass off of it. I end up coming open in the back of the end zone, and Lamar throws it to me for a touchdown.
How do you, and I'm sure this is part of the conversation, but I don't want to put words in your mouth and assume. You had 1,000 special teams play over the years, but you also had that touchdown. You had the 84-yarder against the Bengals, which Ravens fans, still talk about to this day. How do you, whether it's a slot, a Z, whatever, Tylan, get on the field more on offense?
I think it's just take advantage of the opportunities. I feel like that's kind of been my thing that I've always taken pride in ever since I've been playing, was no matter when I'm on the field, how often I'm on the field, whenever I am on the field, is to take advantage of whatever opportunities I do get.
Does it get annoying sometimes when people say, oh, he's a great special teams player, he's a core special teams guy, which is important. It's very important. We know that. Sure. It is important. Yeah. And I'm guessing part of you wants to be like, hey, like turn on my college tape, man. Like I lit it up.
You're right. Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, I think obviously I think in this league that's what everybody looks forward to, have that recognition as their role, as if it's a receiver, linebacker, safety, you know what I mean? You want that recognition as that position that you play. But also, like I said, I take a lot of pride in playing special teams, you know what I mean? So no matter what it is, I just want to be known as a great football player. I'll take that any day.
What makes, bear with me here, we'll get back to the offense. What makes a great special teams player, though, Tylan?
I think it's, if you ask me, it's just a lot of it is just effort. I mean, it's just a lot of effort and unselfishness. You got to be willing to run down there, and, sometimes you got try to block 300-pound linemen at times if you have to, you know what I mean? Just being able to be unselfish and block guys and just make plays that, normally don't call for, especially for me at the receiver position. We're not normally used to making tackles or doing things like that. So I think just having that part of unselfishness and effort.
See, that's the thing. When people say you're a core special teams guy, which, again, can be a compliment, it's definitely a compliment. People think that, well, you're just that return guy. You're the wide receiver. You're not necessarily. That's not always been part of your game. Matter of fact, when you ran that pump back against the Rams in 2023, that was your very first game ever returning a punt in the NFL?
Yep. That's right. Yes, sir.
And that wasn't just like, hey, he ran a punt back in the first quarter. I mean, that was a game-deciding play.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was crazy how that all even happened. Like, I've been I was a backup punt returner for the longest, obviously, and then the play before that, our starting returner Denver Duvernay got hurt. So they were like, all right, Ty, you gotta it's overtime. You got to go catch this punt. And I was like, and at the time, it had a little rain, a little drizzle and everything. So it wasn't like perfect conditions either. But I just knew the only thing I had to do was just go back there and catch it. I said, as long as I can do that, I can let Lamar do his thing. But I guess, he never got the chance to.
Did we get just you and me talking here? Because I got some friends who are Rams fans. Do you think Charlie Kohler blocked Jake Hummel in the back there?
That's so funny you say that, because they talk about that nonstop. That year after that, Jake Hummel came over to us and he tells him, oh my, he tells him about that every day we were there. It was hilarious.
True story. And they're boys too, those two guys, from back at home. So I was watching that play, full disclosure, Tylan. I'm watching that play as it happened, and I yell, block in the back! And I'm waiting for the flag, and they just, there's you celebrating with your guys in the end zone. They cut away to the crowd. The crowd's going nuts. I'm like, I guess they're not throwing that flag.
Yep, I was very happy they didn't, for sure.
So what's it been like playing at Huntington Bank Field over the years when you come to town? Last year was a great game, down to the wire. Obviously, Shador's got a shot at the end.
Yes.
Years past, you had Jameis, throwing the touchdown pass late to win it. What are your thoughts, your memories on the building?
So the crazy thing, obviously, me at the Ravens, like playing here, we haven't had super great memories playing here, but I've always enjoyed the atmosphere here. It's real different. I feel like it's a harder place to play in than people, I think, than what they would say. But I've loved the atmosphere here, the crowd when they show up. It's really just an atmosphere that I'm like, okay, I can rock with this.
It's been a point of frustration too for the Ravens over the years a little bit. Why do you think it is? Is it just the fans? Because the Steelers obviously haven't had success recently in Cleveland either.
I think a lot of it is the fans. I would say that. It's just like, I don't know what it is, but it's just the atmosphere. It's hard to really describe. Like, just coming down here and playing in this stadium as an opposing team, it's just a hard place to play in.
Well, now you're going to be part of that atmosphere. Do you have a number yet? You met with Corey yet?
Yeah, I think we're still working on it. We had the talks about possibly number 15, but we're still hashing some things out to make sure.
Okay, so Isaiah Bond's got 16. You've worn 16. Remind me what you wore in college?
2. Yeah.
Okay. Does 15 feel right? If it is 15? Okay.
For sure.
All right. Want to tell a little bit of your backstory here before we get you out of here. Those who don't know, you have an identical twin, right? Like identical. Like, can people tell you and Trayson apart if you're both in the same room?
I think now they can, just for the fact that we have different haircuts and things like that now. But back then, I don't think so. No.
And you guys were like these amazing recruits, played together. He was a quarterback. You were a wide receiver. He had a couple of bad knee injuries in high school. You guys both went to Oklahoma State together, and then he had another injury, and he had to shut it down. But he's now in coaching. He was at Oklahoma State. Now he has moved on to Butler. Tell me about his career. And I have to assume identical twins, you guys are like this. Do you feel at times like you're playing for him?
Always. That was always a goal. And once he, went through what he went through, and he obviously couldn't play anymore, I think that was always part of my motivation, why I kept going and why I kept playing, was to play for him and, kind of play for both of us. Him, Terrence, ACL 2 times in high school, 1 time in college. Obviously, he had to take the coaching route. And, I know that wasn't easy for him. So I always try to, anytime I step on the field, always try to make sure I'm putting my best foot forward for the both of us.
How good could he have been?
I think, honestly, he would have been right up here with me, if you ask me. I think if you turn on our high school tape, it shows it all. He had all the talent that I did, and I think without the injuries, he'd be in the same position I'm in right now.
Does he call you up? Because he's coaching wide receivers, too, for those that don't know. Does he call you up and break down your film on Sunday night?
So he does sometimes. So yeah, if he sees something on TV and he sees it, he'll call me up and be like, hey, I saw this, or, what were you thinking on this, or things like that. Or I'll even send him sometimes like some practice tape, and he'll try to coach me up through things on what he sees and what he would have said or something like that.
So you never hit him back and go, dude, you're a quarterback? Like, stop it. I know what I'm doing.
No, I try to make him, I know he knows what he's talking about, so I'll let him have it. I'll take the coaching points.
That's cool. Tylan, we appreciate your time. I know you're kissing babies and shaking hands today. Welcome to Northeast Ohio. Can't wait to see you back out there on the field wearing an orange helmet this time, regardless of which number we settle on. Welcome to Cleveland, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Tylan Wallace, nice guy. And Gibbe, he and I both had this epiphany as he was sitting down that when he was coming out of college, I interviewed him on NFL Network. Same setup. I don't know that I've ever met the guy. I'm on one camera, he's on another camera, different rooms, different states, whatever. And he's like, oh, yeah.
I remember you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
nice guy.
And I hope it all works out. Like, that's for the team, for him, for everyone involved. Want him to be successful.
Absolutely. And he does have some explosive in his bag. Go look at that punt return. Go look at the play against the Bengals where he broke free down the sideline. And yes, he caught the Week 2 touchdown last year in Baltimore against the Browns. All right, Gibbe, we got some mailbag questions.
We do.
All right.
You want me to ask you? Or
No, I'm going to ask you.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Here we go. Buckle up.
Browns have 6-24 as we sit here today in round number 1. Do they, Gibbe, pick 2 wide receivers on Thursday, April 23rd?
No. I would like them to, but probably not. I personally would go wide receiver at 6 because maybe the guy I want that I think will fall to 24 might not fall. So if you love a guy and he's a wide receiver, take him at 6 and alleviate the problem. And if you go offensive lineman at 24, I'm fine with that as well.
Okay, so this is called the best podcast available. Obviously, it's a play on best player available, and that is what you have to do. You have to take the best player available. And I've said repeatedly that the difference between the wide receiver you can get at 6-24 is far greater than the difference. I'm sorry, is the difference between the O-lineman you could get at 24 as compared to 6.
I knew where you were going.
Is far different than the wide receiver you can get at 24 as compared to 6. Easier said. There is far more depth at wide receiver in this draft than there is at offensive line. There's going to be a run on offensive linemen early. There could be a run on wide receivers early as well. If you want an offensive lineman, I think you have to take him at 6. Doesn't mean the Browns can't turn in 107 later and get a good offensive lineman who turns into a long-term starter. Of course you can. But in terms of blue chip quality, guys, you may see 10. You might see a dozen wide receivers taken in the first 2 rounds. There are that many wide receivers. Now, you keep hearing, well, there's no Jamar Chase in this draft. No, there isn't, in all likelihood. There probably is not. But there is depth in the wide receiver class. It's just, I want you guys to keep that in mind when I don't want an offensive lineman at 6. If I told you, go ahead.
I'm fine with that. I totally understand. If you get to number 6, and on Andrew Berry's big board, not position by position, but on the big board, the wide receiver's higher than any of the offensive linemen that are left, go get him.
If he's the best player, I'm with you. Go get him.
Go get him.
By the way, Ohio State Pro Day coming up on Wednesday as we record this on Tuesday.
That's right.
We'll have some thoughts on that coming up in next week's episode. It is officially Pro Day season. Ruben Bain on Monday did not have his arms measured, if you're concerned. It is silly season. It is pro day season. Could any team be looking to trade up at pick 6, Gibbe, depending on how the board falls? I know what I think. What do you think?
I don't think so.
I think the answer is yes, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I don't feel good about a trade partner today as midweek.
Here's what the Browns need. The Browns need Jeremiah Love to fall to 6. Browns fans, that is what you should be rooting for. Have Jeremiah Love fall to 6.
Why? But then we're moving back. I don't know if I like that.
Hold on. There is nothing wrong with moving back just an itsy bitsy bit if there is panic from the teams below you that Jeremiah Love may be taken by somebody else, whether that is Washington right behind you, whether that's New Orleans or Kansas City or whomever. Oh, I know New Orleans and Kansas City went out and signed a back and spent money in free agency. I know that, and that was a bit disheartening. I did not want Travis Etienne to go to New Orleans. I did not want Kenneth Walker to go to Kansas City. I wanted those teams to be in prime, we need a running back mode. Neither is. But if you look at those deals, in reality, those are 2-year guarantees. If you think Jeremiah Love is the best player on the board, and there are people that have Jeremiah Love as the best player in this draft, period, full stop. You want him to fall to 6. I know. You're looking at me going, oh, I don't want to trade back. Okay, fine. But what if, hypothetically, say Washington's convinced that someone's trying to get up ahead of them to 6 to the Browns spot, and Washington will flip you a 3 or a 4 to go back 1 spot when you know they're taking Jeremiah Love. Go ahead. That's free money. That 3rd or 4th round pick is a starter. That fills out your roster for nothing.
I'm fine if you're going to move back if you stay in the top 10.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to move out of the top 10.
I don't want to go down there.
I don't want to move out of the top 10. Now, hold on.
No.
Would you move out of the top 10 for next year's 1?
Yeah, but no one's giving you
No
that.
one's going to give you next year's 1. Exactly,
No.
Gibby. You passed the test.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no one's giving up 1s in 2027.
That is
Even
correct.
though every year's draft
Matter
is
of fact,
next
there's my
amazing.
prediction. There's my prediction. Nobody will give up a 1 this entire draft in 2027. I'm going to throw a caveat in there. The only caveat is if it's like the Seahawks, someone like that, where they have this uber confidence, or the Rams for that matter, although highly unlikely with Stafford's quarterback thing, with Stafford's contract hanging out there. Like a team that is absolutely all in for this year and thinks that that 1 is going to be 30, 31, or 32. It's the only way. The only way.
That's right.
Okay. Gentlemen, that's been another edition, and ladies for that matter, of the best podcast available, presented by Bullseye Event Group. For award-winning game day experiences, visit bullseyeeventgroup.com. Gibby, any final thoughts?
Get your sunscreen ready, buddy. I know you live on the beach
Phoenix?
now already, but yeah, you're going to Phoenix.
I don't live on the beach.
Okay, you live close to the beach. You walk on the beach. It's close enough.
I spend my
Bring your
off-season
sunscreen with you.
I spend my off-season in a town that has beach, that has a beach nearby.
I didn't say you,
Okay.
but I watch you take a walk on the beach, but yet I would tell you, like, bring the sunscreen.
Okay.
I think Phoenix, that desert sun and heat, a little bit rougher than the Southern California.
You know why it's so hot there?
Tell me.
Chase DeLauder.
I now need a drink.
On that
Wow,
note,
what a pull.
we will be back with another episode next week with insight and content from the annual meeting in the aforementioned Phoenix, Arizona. For Jason Gibbs, I'm Andrew Siciliano. So long, everybody.